You ready? You ready?
Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to this brand new tutorial. This time we are gonna dive in the project called Storm, which I released a couple of months ago on my label Fonk Recordings. And I just noticed also that Zed is also supporting it in all his shows, so that's great to see. Let's dive in. This is the project. As you can see, we have a lot of layers going on, 115. But let's begin with the basics. Let's play it for a while, and so you can, if you haven't heard it before, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Let's start with the basics. So we have a different approach than I usually do. This is actually one of the first times that I use a separation of kick top, a kick bottom, and a kick thump, as you might call it, in combination with the sub information. So what kind of tricks do we have here? Okay, so first of all, we have the click of the kick of the attack, very punchy. I also did a small trick with Space Control, which is a new plugin by Hardwell and Luca Pretolesi. You should check it out. And what it does basically, if I disable it, now it's completely mono. But now it has a little bit of side information, which widens up the attack of the kick only. Then we have this kick bottom, which gives a little bit more, more tonal information. And then of course we need the thump, like the thing you feel in your chest or in your stomach when you're in a club or whatever. That all leads to a buzz, which is heavily clipping, which you can do in Logic. Don't ask me why, but if it sounds good, then it sounds good. So I'm usually not really focused on that. Later on, when I'm started mixing, I bounce everything to audio separately, and then I mix everything in a different project. But that's a whole different story. And then what we have here is an old trick that I basically got from the legend that is Tom Starr and Kreider. And what they do is they place this. Wait, why is it going through? No idea why this is happening. There we go. Because I soloed the bus. So what you can hear is this little white noise, which is right happening before the attack of the kick drum, which make it seem like you're emphasizing the. Just makes the kick drum even pop out even more. Then we have this groovy bass line, which consists of this bass by Spire bass. What did I do here? Basically cutting all the lows, between 87 hertz, boosting a little bit in the mid side, so in the mono information. Right there it is, and then we have the true low bass, which gives the sine wave basically. And this one is, I cut it a little bit where the other bass is happening, and this one is really giving that, the pressure. And then in combination with this organ bass, which is from Serum, it says organ bass as well. And what I did there was I put a little bit of, I also put dimension expander on it, but also again the Space Control. If I disable it, you can hear it better. It's already a pretty wide bass sound, but with Space Control you even push it wider, and I really love that because it gives that big feel to it. And although also it sounds like it's clipping and it's distorting a little bit while you play it solo, in the grand scheme of things everything turns out pretty well. Okay, Then we have this little bass shot, which is just a sample that I used with a little bit of Valhalla, nothing special. Also going to a bus where the kick drum is sidechained with compression. What else do we have? And then some EQ. I don't know why this is so... I know why it is, because later on I'm also using this bus for the lead sound that is dropping. And then we have this fairly interesting lead sound. Let me play it on my keyboard here. It's called alu synth. It sounds like a, like a titanium thing of aluminium. What I did was, just with using Endless Smile. I love this, so easy. Adding some verb and a simple build. It's also in E minor, the whole track. And here is where I'm starting to build tension. And oh yes, of course. We have this gritty white bass that really gives that atmosphere. Completely distorted, again with a little bit of saturation by the Saturn. I usually pick a preset and I tweak it a little bit. I see I boosted the highs a lot, as you can hear. Really gives that gritty edge, and then I played these notes to give it more cool atmosphere. And not so static, of course, now it's... Then we have this vocal, which is from Splice, I guess.
You ready? You ready? You ready?
But I tweaked it a little bit, added a little bit of delay, and then I bounced it, and even more compression, boosting a lot of the high mids, really popping it through the speakers right in front of your face.
You ready? You ready?
Then for my friends of Teamworks, we got apparently something that is in bump and roll. Gyro, uplifter, a Greyhound FX, snare roll. There's a drop already. Because it's a pretty heavy project, I bounce a lot of things to audio when I'm happy with it. The only thing that I didn't bounce to audio, which I should have done, is the whole section that will come later. All right, then. So okay, we have the. And of course a lot of drum fills, and in this case I was heavily in love with the samples by Tom and James, you know them from the label as well. And especially this one before the drop really pulls you in the drop, which I like, and works really well even if you, especially when you play it out live. And then all those little effects are done on the main lead. And the main lead is a massive synth that I tweaked a bit. And here we have it with an octave going lower. And we have some effect tricks on it as well. Gives it a little bit more movement. It's very subtle, but it really changes the sound as well. And then, which the main lead, of course, the lower part is to give more body to the higher lead, which is basically also this MIDI pattern that I draw. And to give it also a more humanized feel, I didn't put the velocity of all the notes to the highest possible level. And that way you create a little bit more, humanized feel. It's not so straightforward. It gives it a little bit more groove. There's a filter going on. I think this is the filter that is in Massive. Let me check. Yeah, you see? And I had to filter it down as well, because you can hear when I don't use a filter. That's the white note. it's gonna sound completely like white noise, and that's not what I wanted, of course. But now it has that tonal information. Then what did I do? Well, heavy boosting. You can hear the difference. Pull out those mids a little bit. Some overdrive, which is a great Logic plugin that I use often to gain more volume, basically. Then the trick with the Valhalla room, just a really, really short delay time on the reverb. A little bit of mix, not too much. Then an imager by Waves. And we got this plugin that I really love, which is the SPL Vitalizer. Boosting the mids as well a little bit. And usually I love this stereo expander, but I use that on the master chain. And of course some Soothe to temper the highs a little bit. Because the synth sounds very crunchy, but also has a lot of distorted frequencies. Then Soothe is the ultimate tool, because you have a dynamic EQ, which is pulling back all those annoying frequencies for you, without me having to, do it like this, which I also did, as you can see. Also a great way of getting some movement in there. Then the lead is finalized by some kind of rave synth in Nexus. What is this? Oh, it's more like an organ. Then a percussion synth. It's not really giving that much info. It's just a little bit of transient. Then we have this lead, or like a sawtooth. Even more white noise on it. I don't know why, but I like high end. Some more mid-low frequencies. And even the same, I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same percussion synth. But then with a longer release, you got even more. Serum. So this is more like the bass. This is not even synth, but everything to give it more body. And then you end up with this. And what I did here is basically play with the notes, but like switch it up by having every synth playing something else, while you get this movement while it's not so stuck to the grid. I like to play around with that. And then obviously using the endless smile intensity to create those, basically the suction of the reverb. Really simple trick, but it's working. Hit it again. Easy. Oh, and then we have these in-between synthesizers. I'm introducing the melody. And then we go into the breakdown. And one of the things that I did was instantly... I didn't want it to have a full breakdown where everything is super quiet and the dance floor is basically come to a halt. Everyone is standing still. So instantly brought back the gritty bass line in combination with some cool contact. Let me open it up. Analog strings. Love this, by the way. Analog strings has some amazing sounding synthesizers. And this is FedFX is basically the same as the Camel Crusher back in the days, but now it's the Logic made it themselves. And as you can hear, it's a really cool combination of hard clipping, compressing, and distortion at the same time, and you can do a lot of cool things with it. And in this case, the British Clean one or Tube Warmth is my go-to presets that I use a lot on synths, basslines, all that kind of stuff. So the whole breakdown is like this. Very epic, and consists of a lot of layering to make it sound as big as it does. Nothing too special or crazy, but I have some sections which are only playing the top melody, like this. So for instance, we have a top melody is only playing the flute. Just also for the higher frequencies, then I have a top layer doing a more bass sound, and I use this trick, which is sample delay, which really widens it up. The only issue is you lose a little bit of mono information by doing this, but if you use it the right way, it will, and especially with all those layers, you know, adding to each other, it really works. Then a very high buzz sound, which sounds really whack if you play it like that, but in the grand scheme of things, again, sounds pretty cool. And this one is also pretty cool, and I love this Maserati. It's actually, back in the days I used this a lot, and I also think even Alesso and all the Swedes used it a lot to really bring out those leads and make them sound also a little bit analog. That sounds very cool. And I crushed it even more with the amazing OTT. And what is this doing? I use this MG low filter, which gives that movement to the, and a little bit portamento, of course, which is glide. It glides to the other notes, which again makes it not that static. We have a dreamy lead. We have obviously the content, and then this is where the this is about logic. Where the chords come in. VAR Legends, this is one of the presets from Silent that I used a lot also. It's called Dannic. Dannic is individuals we use for Blueprint. It's great. And of course you need a piano in there and a piano pad. And all together, what's really neat to do is then, even on top of that melody, I love to play around with another top melody, which emphasizes, makes it even more epic. But this one, lots of verb, this BT verb, almost 5-second verb, which really makes it massive and epic, the epic feel at least. And oh, this one is this is a great reverb that I got from Promised Land. I think it's even for free. I'm not sure, but this is one of my go-to reverbs for making like those big epic ones. And again, some more space control. Not doing that much. I think it's more like keeping everything, making sure that even in mono, it still holds. And then we start a 30-second build up towards the second drop, where all hell breaks loose, usually. And this is basically just filtering everything. I did that here, so I bussed everything. Everything is going to one bus from the breakdown. And there is a retro color that's doing this transition thing. And there we have it, the second drop with everything breaking loose. Oh yeah, we have this howl drop. I think it's just a sample that I took and then transposed. Yeah, that's what was happening. And of course, a little bit of sidechain, but not too much, because I really wanted to stand out on the drop. Yeah, and there you have it. Oh. And there you have it. And then we can talk about the mastering. This is just the pre-master. So what I did is I usually bounce everything to a maximum of 10 stems. So kick, drums, bass lines, breakdown, synthesizers, the lead synths, special effects, and all that kind of stuff. And then I usually master it in a different project, so I have more control of everything. And that's really my way of working. Sometimes I do it in the box, depends on how big the project is. But for a project like this, it's really hard to mix it properly. And you want to make sure that every element is as loud as it can get, and gets the right placement in the mix. But for here, what I usually do is I always start with a gain, so I have more control over my levels. Then compression, so this one is my go-to compressor when I'm mixing in the box or producing. But I have one here as well. I have the real one, the analog one. And then here we have a Cambridge. I love UAD plugins also because if you are gonna add something by EQing it, you want to do it the right way. And I think the Cambridge for me sounds very, very thick, very nice. We have some isotope, not doing much, just some dynamics, only for the low end, basically pushing the low end, compressing it by 3 dBs. This is usually not on. This is really weird, but for me, as I'm producing, I wanna have it sound as the end product, so I can work on it better. But it's just a mind trick for me. And then Ozone basically emulates that feeling because it doesn't do that much. Basically squashes everything even more, but that's usually off when I bounce everything. Then a Lin MB, just a multiband doing nothing. Basically, here you can see a little bit of deduction of frequencies that are not in line, and I use an invisible limiter usually for limiting, and a little bit of oversampling. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. Try to make it as short as possible. If you have any questions, as always, please comment below, and make sure to subscribe as well. There's a lot more coming, also regarding tutorials, but of course also music-wise. And also mentioning that we have a Discord channel. Link is also below. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I cannot wait to see any of the demos coming in. You can send a demo to demo@fonkrecordings.com, and we make sure we check it out. Thanks for watching. Ciao.